What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. What's going on, y'all? Happy Mother's Day out there. Hopefully, everybody had a great Mother's Day today. Just tuning in and checking in. Before we end the day of Mother's Day, just trying to see how you all spent your Mother's Day, and hopefully you mothers had a great day. Hopefully everybody was able to spend time with their mom. I'm gonna wait for a few people to check in and chime in before I start the conversation. What up, though, to everybody out there on Facebook, everybody out there on YouTube, and everybody out there on Instagram. Yeah, I'm just sitting here finishing up this watching the San Antonio Minnesota game, which was a really good game. Minnesota looks like they're getting ready to tie this series up. But yeah, man, I just want to come in and chime in real quick and just talk about Mother's Day. What this day was all about, and how I spent my Mother's Day, just hung out. The comment section is open. I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Just gonna come in and talk about, today for a hot second, not too long. So I'm gonna finish up the rest of this game too while I'm waiting on a few people to come in. If you want to come in and join the conversation, put your email in a comment, and I can bring you in. Excuse me. Yeah, this is a good game. Look like Minnesota is getting ready to close it out. It is 109 to 112 Minnesota. But yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there today. You don't have to necessarily have been a biological, to your children to be a mother. So it's a lot of mothers that didn't give birth that, were mothers too. So I wanna, say happy Mother's Day to those moms too. To the adopted parents, all that. No, but today is a day to, commemorate or celebrate your mother, and just all moms, but I'll just say, in my opinion, my mom, so that's what me and my siblings did. We got together, we spent the day at my sister's house, had a little bit of Lily Mays, had that catered. So, we all sat down, had a good time, was able to, chop it up and just spend a little time talking with each other, enjoying each other. Which my sister, she's a mom. My both of my sisters are moms, so we got a chance to chop it up with them. My sister and her husband. My mom, of course, and then my my sister's mother-in-law, she was there too also. So we just had a good time, man. Just eating and talking and just enjoying each other. That's all, and that's what it's about. You know, just having a good time with your mom. A lot of people, moms are not here, so you have to, definitely cheer, and that's what it's about. I went there with my camera and things like that. We were able to make some videos there for, because we're not promised every day. So I said I wanted to make some videos and things like that with my mom because she's always camera shy. She don't never want to, come on here and do no videos or things like that with me. So, I've never really had a chance to get her on tape. So we was able to do a little bit of that today. So I had fun doing that. Putting all my siblings on video, and we just talked about, what Mother Day meant to, each of us. And then my mom, she got on there and she talked about, Mother's Day for a little bit. So I'm gonna edit that up and maybe put that out, or just maybe not put that out and just keep it, for personal, you know, for my own personal use, I should say, are good, for me and my siblings. But yeah, man, that's what it was about. It was about celebrating your mom, being your mom today. We did just that. We had a good time with our mom. It's always a good time when we all get together, and just have a good time. And that's what we did today. So hopefully my mother enjoyed her Mother's Day today. I had a good time. Hopefully all you moms enjoyed your Mother's Day today. So it looks like Minnesota is getting ready to even this series up. So we got a few seconds. Let me turn it up a little bit.
So Champagnie, normally a good three-point shooter, 0 for 5 tonight. Harper, Vassell, and Fox. In other words, anybody in a white uniform can bang a three here.
So pretty much this game is over. It's like 9 seconds left. So I'll let the rest of this play, and then I'll get back to the whole Mother's Day thing.
That's the jack from deep. Banked it up, no good. It bangs around. Champagnie put it up. It's too late. Game 4 to the Timberwolves.
Okay, so that game is pretty much over with. So Minnesota was able to come back and I believe tie the series up. Going back to San Antonio for game 5. So but yeah, back to Mother's Day, man. I was able to spend some time with my mom. Me and my siblings, we all got together, had dinner with my mom, and it's it's a special thing being able to celebrate Mother's Day with your mother, because like I said, a lot of people, excuse me, are not able, moms are not here and are not able to celebrate, so you have to take advantage of that. It's a blessing, for you to be able to wake up and being able to celebrate another Mother's Day with your mom, so hopefully my mother had a great Mother's Day today. That's what it was about. Like I said, me and my siblings, we all got together, had dinner at my sister's house with my mom, and my sister's mother-in-law, and we made a few videos. I've never, like I said, my mom, she was always camera shy, never want to get or come on the show or do any videos, and understandable, but I was able to get her on, and we did a few videos today, talking about Mother's Day. So, but yeah, it was a good day, man. It's always a great time spending time with your mom, because you don't know when, it may be that day where you may not be able to, spend no more time with your mom, because any day, anyone's day number can be called, so that's what it was about. Today was about, just spending time and just having a great day with your mom, and that's what I did. So I didn't want to come on here long, man. I just want to come over here for a second, chop it up with you guys, see how you guys Mother's Day was, and again, I want to wish a happy Mother's Day, to all moms out there. Hopefully all you moms had a great day. And the moms and and that's me, and we may give out a lot of flack about, how Mother's Day is a big thing, and how Father's Day is not really celebrated as much as Mother's Day. And I understand, man. A mother's bond is unbreakable, especially a real mom, a mom who's dedicated at being a mom who will do anything to protect her child, her children, and a mom who will go to all lengths to, make sure that her children, are in a safe environment, are well taken care of. So, I'm not saying that dads don't do that, but the mother is the sole, and I'm not gonna say at birth, but at birth the mom is the, the one who's nurturing and right there, and and it's an unbreakable bond, and I just look at like how my son looks at, at my wife, which is his mom, and I understand the bond. It was kind of hard for me to understand like the bond, but having a younger son and seeing him grow up and how he is about his mom, I understand that bond and that unbreakable bond, how it is with a mom, because I know how I am with my mother, you know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with, and I guess what I mean is I understand like how, Mother's Day is a big thing and how it's celebrated, more than Father's Day. Not saying that fathers should not be celebrated just as much, but it's a difference, between your mom. Your mom is a person that you can go to, when you feeling that, especially as a kid, we all can relate to this. Most people went to their moms when they weren't feeling good and things like that, and she would nurse you back to health, or if you having any issues or any problems, who you gonna call up first? You gonna call up moms. You see what I'm saying? You gonna call up mama like, mom, mom this, mom that, so mothers, mothers are, you know, the most important thing, you know, especially in the child's life, especially at birth, you are that guide to that child. You know what I mean? So it's always important, you know, to have a great what it is to have a great a mother. You know what I mean? You know, so yeah, man, you know, like I said, I just remember, you know, growing up as a child and you know what my mom meant to me and you know, in the bond that us as children, you know, even growing up into adulthood, the bonds that we have with our mother, you know, it's a lot different from what it is for my fathers. You know what I mean? Not saying that the fathers bond are not strong, but you know, again, like I said, you know, like when you can remember when you were a kid and you were sick and you were feeling down, you know, the first person that you look forward to you know touching you or getting you back into health or that brought you back to nursed you back to health was mama. You know, she had that chicken noodle soup or she did something that would you know nurse you back to health or have you feeling right, or if just something wasn't going on in your life, you know, even as a young adult, you know, you would call mom and you know she would make it all right. You know, so those are the things that you know I remember, you know, and just having a bond with your mom, you know, those are the things that I remember. I'm gonna read out a few comments and I apologize for I apologize for not reading off the comments. I was just getting a little bit into the words. But Maru Madam, and excuse me, I don't have my glasses, said you look like the white version of Mr. Beast. Well, hopefully that's a compliment. uh and Stephen Kelly Belly said, is this a live stream? Yes, this is live. And William Revels G3 said, stop yapping about my mama, boy. Well, hey, we all listen. If you ain't got no mama, we can share mamas, you know, and that's one thing about, you know, old school mamas, you know, like you know, old school mama was everybody mamas on the block, you know, but look, ain't there's nothing like, you know, that mother's bond. You know what I mean? So like I said, when you feeling down, you feeling sick, you know, you look forward to, or mama was the will have that touch to bring you back to, you know, the health, things like that. You know, it's just all type of things that I can think about that you guys probably can relate, you know, from everything, you know, from you know, growing up from birth to, you know, just all the graduations and, you know, just all the main events and just things in your life. You know, my mama was definitely there. You know, hopefully most of you guys grew up with, you know, moms and fathers, but, you know, I come from pretty much a single household, you know, so pretty much everything, you know, that all the main events and things that I can compliments that I can think about, you know, it was my mama, you know, even through the good times and the bad times, through the hard times. You know, it was always mama, you know, who made a way. You know, so I want to thank my mom, you know, while she's still here, you know, and give your mom your flowers, not just on this day, every day, you know, because, you know, one day, if you live long enough, there will be a day where your mom will not be around and you won't have you know, these days like that to be able to, you know, celebrate her while she's here. You know, so take advantage of the days that your mom is here, you know, because it's a lot of us, it's a lot of people who moms are not here, you know, so you have to take advantage of things like that, you know, spend as much as time you can with, you know, with your mom, you know, don't take days for granted, you know, because we do, you know, we all think that, you know, we gonna live forever and we all think that our mama gonna be around, you know, and that's just not the case. You know, we all were promised one thing, and that's life and death. You know, so and I'm 50 years old, so you know, my parents, you know, I recently just lost my father. You know, I never thought that would happen. So you know, it kind of woke me up on on the time that I do have left. You know, here on this planet myself, and the time that I do have left with my mom. So you know, so you know, so on days like this, and you know, you have to make your mom, and you know, and not just your mom, your wives and your sister, you know, but mainly today is Mother's Day. But you know, you have to make your moms feel special, um, you know, because she is special, you know, especially if your mom was, you know, really a real mom, you know, a mom that was there through the hard times, the bad times, you know, just everything, you know. So I'm probably yapping, like William Revel said. But yeah, pretty much I am yapping and just, just talking about my childhood and things I remember about my mom, but a mother's bond is unbreakable, because I look how my son looks to his mom, and he's only 3 years old, so but yeah, that bond is unbreakable, and I think and I think everybody at one point in time in their lives had that bond, and probably still do have that bond with their mother. Because like I said, at the end of the day, when things are going down or going bad, one person that you can depend on to talk to that will make things feel better. Even if they're not, you can always count on mom to, give you a good conversation or make you feel better. So but yeah, that's what moms are for, man. The woman that gave you birth, the woman that brought you here into this life. And then like I said earlier, it doesn't always have to be the mother who birthed you, even adopted moms, they are important to young men and women who didn't have moms that was adopted, so I don't want to leave that out neither. You know, those are you guys are definitely moms, but yeah, I just want to come on and talk for a second. I want to thank everybody who commented. And yeah, look, I need for you guys to comment. Your boy is closing in on 1,000 subscribers. We're getting close. And I want to appreciate everybody who's commented, who shared, who liked. We have been down for a few weeks. My mixer have been down, but we've been back up. We're going to be putting out plenty of content in the up and coming days. So, I want to thank everybody who's been hanging on and who's been commenting still. Commenting, sharing, and subscribing. But please make sure that if you're on Facebook, come over to the channel on YouTube and hit that subscription button. It'll definitely help your boy out and my goals. I don't know why people hating, and this is a good, we just talking about mama. See, and that's why, and that's one thing why I fuck with the Migos, because they always do that in there, mama, and nothing like mama, it's some ratchet and no good ass mamas out there. I've done plenty of shows, on mothers who shouldn't be mothers, go and look at a lot of my content. I've done a lot of shows on mothers who was being unfit parents, but I'm talking about the mothers who deserve to be praised, the mothers who are real mothers who take good care of their children, from finish to start. And I understand sometimes you may have rocky situations and go through things, but a mother is going to make it happen. A mother is not going to neglect their child, having their child living in fucked up situations, and things like that, not going days without eating and things like that, not going days without bathing, so those are not real moms. Those were just, women who had children. I'm talking about the moms who made sure that their kids ate every single day, who bathed their kids, sat down with their kids, make sure that they did their schoolwork and things like that, or at least tried to, because I remember it was a lot of days, and my siblings, they can contest to this, where my mom, she sat down and made sure, I'm not going to say made sure, but overlooked us doing our schoolwork. It was probably a lot of stuff that she didn't understand that, and that's another show, but a real mom is going to sit down with that child, make sure that child schoolwork is done, make sure that that child has bathed for that night, eaten, ready to get up and go to school the next day. You have a lot of, mothers that are not mothers, are just having childs for, monetary gains and places to live, and to have a place to stay and things like that. Those are not real moms. I'm talking about the moms that, get out here and get it, make sure that, they put their children first before they put themselves. Those are moms. These are, the moms that I'm talking about that deserves and needs to be praised. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, I just want to come on here for a hot second, and just talk about Mother's Day. It's an important day to everybody. Everybody can relate to this day, which is Mother's Day. Yep. So we got a lot of comments. I've been trying to read off most of the comments that's, been coming in, but we got a few people that's been coming in and jumping out, but I definitely need for you guys to hit that subscribe button. Like I said, your boy is closing in on 1,000 subscribers. It's been one of my main goals that I set out to get 2 years ago when I first started. So I'm closing in on that. So, with you guys' help, your boy will be there within, some days or so, so definitely hit that subscribe button. Look out for your boy. It doesn't cost a thing. It's free, so, I want to I want to say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Hopefully you guys had a great day today, overall a great weekend, and was able to spend time with your children and your family and friends. Just had a great day. That's what the day was about, celebrating, moms. Yep. So what you guys think about that Minnesota San Antonio game, man? That was a really good game. It looked like Minnesota tied it up. I thought San Antonio had them on the ropes, but Minnesota pulled it out. It was a good game. So we got to handle our business tomorrow, meaning Detroit. We let Cleveland sneak one out in Cleveland, but I think we'll be able to sneak one back out tomorrow night in Cleveland and bring it back to Detroit. And maybe be able to close it out in game 5 or 6, I believe. But yeah, man, I just want to come on for a little bit, give my thoughts on Mother's Day today. I had a great day with my mother and my siblings. We were able to spend the day with her mom, and it was a great thing. It's always a good look. How was you guys' Mother's Day? What you guys do today? Hopefully everybody had a great Mother's Day. We were able to watch some games, chill out and, just hang out with the fam. But look, I'm not going to hold you guys up long. I'm going to let you guys finish enjoying the rest of your Mother's Day. I just want to come on here for a little bit, and wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day and talk about how I spent my Mother's Day and what my mother meant to me, and things like that. Hopefully you guys were able to spend the day with your mom. Hopefully you guys went out and did your shopping. We talked about that, how men were last minute shoppers, how we wait until the day of to do our shopping. So hopefully you guys got all your shopping done for your mother and your wife and things like that, because especially if you didn't get it done for your wives, boy, it's going to reciprocate and later on tonight. So hopefully you guys had a good day. Yep. So look, I'm not gonna hold you guys up any longer. I just want to come on here for a little bit, and I definitely need for you guys to please hit that subscribe button. Your boy is closing in, like I said, on 1,000 subscribers. That was one of my goals I set out when I first started on YouTube a few years ago, and I'm closing down on it. So I need for you guys to make sure you hit that subscribe button. So look, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. It's another one. It's your boy Dame D, and I am out. Happy Mother's Day. Peace.